She's Katie Montgomery. He's Justin Joseph. These best friends are serving subpoenas to bad advice weekly with Wrong Way Forward. Now, here's Katie and Justin.
Hi, welcome to Wrong Way Forward. My name is Katie Montgomery, and I'm here with my best friend, Justin Joseph, and we are here to roast bad advice and bad decisions.
Always.
Always. And I first want to apologize to those who actually watch us on YouTube. I am in moving hell. You will see behind, I have some boxes. I have the donation piles, the piles to go to storage, the piles to go where I'm moving, the piles to take me down south this summer. And I am living in chaos and I'm miserable. And so I'm bringing you along for the ride. And that's why you have this lovely backdrop.
And you're not moving. You're moving to renovate your house, which is very exciting. You're going to put a Wrong Way Forward studio in, I heard.
We're also being joined by Justin's dog, which is always a main character in our show.
Yes, we apologize in advance.
Justin wants me to build a studio, but I will not be doing that. But hopefully that does not have any indication of the show. And we will be continuing, but we will be doing it in Justin's very nice home and in random closets, dungeons, basements across the United States this summer.
And we'll be having a drawing. We'll come do it in your home, viewers. So just let us know.
Yeah, that would be super fun. So today we're going to cover a topic which I think is very complicated, and it even gets to the point of kind of life and death, and it has kind of family obligation involved in it. So if the listeners can kind of stay with me, I'm going to read this. It's a little long, but this is about a woman who went, of all places, to a Reddit community to look for support when she was learning that once again her parents were coming to her to save her brother's life.
I love how these people go to Reddit community. I tell you what, Reddit is, I've just started using Reddit in the last 6 months. If you haven't used it, do you use it ever, Katie?
I never use it. Once in a while, it will, a Google search might randomly land me there.
I'll tell you, it's a great place for recommendations on if you need a floor. I mean, people get real deep there about everything. And so I really, really recommend it. But go on. This woman obviously feels the same way because she's coming to Reddit for this advice.
She's coming to Reddit. And I think she's actually not just looking for advice. She's looking for support in this kind of crazy scenario. So she explains that she was born as the savior sibling. So basically what happened is she had an elder brother, she had a middle brother, and then she was the baby. And her older brother, due to health reasons, was not able to be healthy. The middle brother could not help due to health reasons. And so they leaned on her to kind of help save this brother. And she wrote that her life began with medical extractions to help her brother. I became the savior sibling, starting with my umbilical cord. She said that bone marrow donations followed when she was still a toddler, and she remembered spending most of her childhood exhausted by the procedures. Despite her constant medical involvement, the family never acknowledged the toll it took on her. So finally, her brother that she was helping out was declared cancer-free at 14. And she said there was never any acknowledgement that was due to a big part of what she had done thus far. And so she said crazy. She was, yes. And so she said, she was never close to this brother. And instead she was very close to the middle brother who actually took care of her. And once her brother was declared cancer-free, he became a nightmare. Healthy Drew was a nightmare, that he bullied both siblings. He treated me like his personal maid. And according to her, the parents allowed the behavior. This was the child who finally was cancer-free and so kind of got away with murder. And she said her parents really didn't care for her. If it wasn't for her other brother, that she wouldn't have had a sense of family. And then she says, as adults, the siblings kind of lived separate lives. She worked in the U.S. before moving to Spain and the Netherlands. Her brother moved away, and brother Drew and her parents lived in South America and really had no contact with Drew at all for about 10 years. And said she really only heard from her parents once in a while. So no relationship. And then out of the blue, she gets a sudden call from her parents that she got very uncomfortable because it was so rare to hear from her parents, and said her mother was crying and explained that Drew had fainted and all his partying and vices caught up to him, and he's now gone into renal failure.
Oh my goodness.
And they told him that old medical records showed that she was a match for a kidney donation and that she needed to be there in 5 days for the surgery. So she responds with no. and said that the mother erupted, shouting that this is what she was made for. And then she told her mother, that she was not going to be engaged in this. And the mother cussed her out and ended the call. And then she got endless messages from extended family. She received emails, phone messages, physical letters, even some curses, some threats, and she ignored them. And she admitted that the situation has left her conflicted. She's not responsible for her brother's choices. He was an adult and made poor decisions that led to his health. And another part of her is she's always been a medical resource and felt compelled to help. And so she does feel guilt. And she knows she could live possibly knowing that her brother is going to die. And so then the Reddit community kind of comes in. And so I think this leads us to, is this the wrong way forward to refuse to offer your brother who is in renal failure a kidney, particularly when you don't really have a relationship with that sibling and it is because of their poor choices, not because of a genetic defect or defect why they're in this predicament. So is that the wrong way forward, Justin?
Well, I think every story has a villain and a hero. And in this case, the villain in this story are her parents. I don't even think to some degree it's the brother who is in need of this now. I mean, that's a tragic circumstance. Obviously, he got himself in a situation that is unfortunate. But her parents are the villains in this story. It is an awful thing that they did this. I mean, I have so many mixed emotions because it reminds me of someone who's groomed a child to be sexually abused. It feels the same exact way. It feels equally as disgusting. The child was not brought into this world because they wanted someone to love and cherish. They were brought into this world for the benefit of someone else. So I'm really upset by it. The other thing that I was going to say about this is it just went out of my head. But either way, I'm really disturbed by it. Now, we can also talk maybe in Block B about whether this woman should just from being a good person, give her brother a kidney. And I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah. I mean, I think
what do you think? Yeah.
Well, I think comparing it to grooming a child for sexual molestation and pedophilia, I think it's a little.
Isn't it though? Isn't that what this is? They're grooming this child for the benefit of someone else. It's just repulsive.
But I think two things can be true at once. I mean, and again, we're only hearing her side of the story. I think that you can have a child and use the umbilical cord and some of the bone marrow to save another child and still truly love and honor and appreciate that child. I mean, I think two things can be true at once.
That doesn't sound like that's what's happening here.
Well, again, we're only hearing one side, right? But what I think,
it's just generally how I like to hear a story.
That is factually correct. That is how you like to hear a story.
I'm good with one side of the story, and then I'll cut on that.
What is interesting here is, and let's talk like attorneys. If we're talking about, everything's negotiable and this is up for negotiation, she has so much leverage, right? She has something that they need that no one has. And so there could be a premium placed on that. And so what I find is
money.
No, I'm just talking about, it seems what she really wants and needs is validation.
She's got a bargaining chip.
Thank you. You saved his life. We made you highly uncomfortable. It probably wasn't an idyllic childhood. We apologize. Thank you for, getting him to this place.
And may we have a kidney.
Yes. What I don't understand is it seems to me that she wants that. She didn't get that throughout her childhood. And that is what is bringing up some of this trauma. And so she could ask for that. If she did want a relationship with them, I think that there would be, some potential bargaining there to say, I expect this, or after this, we're going to sign something and there will no longer be any kind of communication. Because if she's really feeling that this is an unhealthy relationship, what are the boundaries that she's going to put on there continuing? Because it clearly they continue it through this relationship. I also wonder, just because you get a kidney doesn't mean you're going to change your bad ways.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
And if this is because of, poor habits and she's using the word vices, again, it might not be something that she can follow through with, but is there some contract? Is there some kind of agreement that if I do give this, you will I'm insert, go to rehab, attend AA meetings, something like that. So she doesn't feel like this is for naught. But it doesn't seem like and maybe she just doesn't want to bargain, and that would be fair too.
Maybe she just wants her kidney.
Well, you have two, right?
Yeah, I know, but I'm like, it's a major, major, major surgery, right? I mean, if you watch any of the medical shows, you know that. And I will say this: I want to be careful here. I have a family member who also was up for a kidney transplant, and let me dance very, very, very easily here. This family member was showing some early signs of dementia. And the question in the family was, do you disclose that before you get your kidney? Right?
Right.
Because she got up on the list and people in the family knew that she had early signs of dementia. The question was, do they disclose that to the doctor, which would have removed her eligibility for this kidney? And in this case, it was not disclosed. Which is not funny, but I remember being very uncomfortable with it.
I'm very uncomfortable right now, and I keep like rubbing my chest and like patting myself because I just don't know what we're doing here.
Maybe we should start over and just use that as the wrong way forward.
I mean, it is. I mean, it's unethical. It's probably against the law. There's a number of issues, but I also
that was a hypothetical, by the way.
But also, I just find that really interesting because you can have dementia and live for a number of years. And I find that odd that would remove you from getting a healthy kidney because you're still a human being. And you're
in Justin's world, like the facts are like 60%. There's 40% that's washable there. Like
it's so funny. Like as you were saying that, I'm like, my sister's going to call me and tell me Justin didn't have the full facts on it.
Let's take this up on the other side because I'll add to the story. But I need some more dancing time here. So we'll take this up on the other side. We'll be right back.
You've been listening to Wrong Way Forward, where bad advice goes to die and then gets resurrected just so we can roast it again.
If you're enjoying the chaos, hit like and subscribe and come back every Thursday for new episodes.
Have a new topic or some disastrously bad advice you want to dissect? Email wrongwayforwardpodcast@gmail.com. Include your contact info.
Now back to Wrong Way Forward.
Roasting the worst advice ever. Welcome back to the Katie and Justin podcast.
So welcome back to this week's Wrong Way Forward, where things have taken a very, very ominous turn in our discussion of whether a woman who was basically bred and groomed to be a kidney provider for her sick brother who now has a drug problem, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Justin, you have just inflated most of the facts.
What other vices would you have that you need a kidney?
Alcohol, you dumbass.
Whatever. Alcohol is a drug. It's the same thing. So either way, wouldn't that be your liver?
Yes, but I think probably it affects your kidney too. Because I think if you're a big alky, you get a lot of kidney stones, right?
This is when we need Dr. Montgomery back because he always needs it. We could have called him in.
We could have called him in and we would have been like,
he would have been like, I'm currently saving someone's life. Could you leave me the fuck alone?
He totally would have.
He'd be like, are you really bothering me with this right now? And you're like, yeah, totally. And while we have you, can we also ask you about a hypothetical where someone may or may not have gotten a kidney transplant? It didn't disclose that they were in dementia. And anyway, is that okay?
But Justin, I mean, just switching the topic a little bit. If you were this person and based on your facts, groomed, to be the savior, and you got a call and you knew your sibling, even though, there was not a relationship with this sibling, but you knew that there was a high likelihood this person would die without your match, what would you do?
Well, I thank God most of my family knows about my 20s and 30s, and so no one would want any part of any of my organs. So, but if my kidney was givable, what would I do? It's such a hard question because I'm like you, yes, I would do it. I mean, but then I'd have the conversation with myself. If I'm really going to do this, is this the kidney? Is this the person that should get my kidney? Shouldn't it be, an 8-year-old child who's got a whole life ahead of him or her? So I'd have those kinds of debate. I would give my kidney to someone because I would feel really guilty if I didn't do anything, but I'm not sure I'd give it to them.
Well, and that is an option, right? Is that they have the chains where it's like you give a kidney, so someone gives a kidney, so the recipient that you want to get the kidney, in this case, Drew. I just know myself. And
what would you do?
I would give it. And you know what? I would give it. I would bitch, moan, complain.
Oh, I would be all kinds of pissed off.
I would say everything I ever wanted to say about that piece of shit. But
I could just see you as you're getting under, like, this is some kind of bullshit.
Some kind of bullshit. But I would give the kidney, because the guilt would just be too much to live with. And then
100%.
Also, I know myself, and as I get older, I care less about this, but I still, as I approach 52, would be like, I don't want people talking about me like I'm an asshole. Like,
Yeah,
I couldn't, and my brain would make up all kinds of stories about what everybody thought about me. And I could not give the kidney, but I would be pissed off.
Me too. I would be so angry. And I know also myself, it would take 5 to 10 years off my life, because I would go into a major depression, having a part of me gone. I just know me. It would freak me out so much. And then the surgical recovery would be awful. So it would be not just a kidney, it would be years off my life. I know it.
That's fascinating, because I have a really good friend who's given a kidney. And I don't think he gave it to someone who was like a BFF. And then I have another friend whose mother donated a kidney to a stranger. And then my sister has a friend who donated a kidney, I think, to a stranger. So to me, it's a much more commonplace than what you're talking about. I mean, any surgery has potential complications.
Oof.
But
I just hate surgery.
Well, I mean, that's fair. I mean, very few people are like, love it and sign up for it.
And luckily, the old GAY card has gotten me out of giving blood for 50 years, which has been wonderful, because I've never had to, although they did change those rules recently. But in the old days, I was like, your loss. Well, actually, it may not have been. Yeah. Anyway, so I don't think they would take my kidney anyway, because I think there's a huge questionnaire, and they'd be like, have you done these things in your life? And they'd be like, we're good.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, it is interesting, because I know people who have been in families where they've needed to donate a kidney, and they weren't the only option. But they would say, look, I have children. I'd rather reserve my kidney for my child rather than X person. And these people were able to find someone else within the family that was a match. So I understand that if you have that complexity around, right? I don't know what the percentages of people needing a kidney and what are the statistics on that. But I could see that if this person had children, that they might be a little bit more hesitant, to operate.
We also have to talk about this woman. I mean, she's going to Reddit for support. I mean, she's had a traumatic, very sad life. Like, movies have been written about less. And she's in Reddit. I mean, that just breaks my heart.
Well, it breaks my heart too. And needing to go somewhere to get some kind of affirmation. And so it does make you think, what is her sense of community? Who does she have? What does her family unit look like? What does her community look like? Does she have access to things like, therapy or group therapy? Because she does have quite a bit of trauma that she needs, to work through. And I think, yes, there can be healthy boundaries, but barely having a relationship, this is a family of 5, and she barely has a relationship with 3 of the 5. That's a significant loss.
It's a significant loss. And you hear that and Oprah's doing a big series on this right now about when you give up family, like what are the rules when you can actually be okay, or it's actually in your interest to cut off family. And this seems like it checks all the boxes for me.
Yeah, but I think it is so complicated. And so I don't think it's just some boxes. I think it is, what is your idea of family? What does that look like? What are you comparing yourself to in terms of other people and their family? Do you have a substitution for family? It's so complex than just a rubric, and say, okay, we meet these requirements.
Oh, I see. And this is so funny, because again, it's just you and I different. I'm a check the boxes person. Like, did you do this, and therefore this? And you are more of in the like live in the debate, the ethics area. Do you think so?
I mean, maybe, I really do like a checklist too, but I think putting it in a checklist is probably too simplified. And I think my guess is she probably hasn't processed a lot of what's going on.
How old is this woman again?
I don't know.
Oh my God. It's just the saddest story I've ever heard.
I know. And on that note, When we come back, we're going to talk about something people might make fun of us. And I'm like, how can you switch from something so traumatic and serious to the next topic? But we will leave you on a lighter note when we come back after the break.
Thanks for streaming Wrong Way Forward, the weekly reminder that advice is usually free for a reason. We call out bad advice wherever it hides: boardrooms, break rooms, and even book clubs.
Enjoying this dumpster fire? Like, subscribe, and check back every Thursday for new episodes. Want us to roast your favorite piece of nonsense? Email us at wrongwayforwardpodcast@gmail.com. Be sure to include your contact info. We're not psychic, just judgmental. And now, back to Wrong Way Forward.
Roasting the worst advice ever. Welcome back to the Katie and Justin.
Hi, and we're back. And we're going to really switch things to a much lighter note. Maybe to the point where it's completely ridiculous. So, Justin, I don't know if you have seen this, but I have been on walks with my sister, my brother in DC with friends, and I see this and I just have such a visceral reaction to it.
I have a visceral reaction to it. We're going to build this up and then we're going to drop it what it is. I have a visceral reaction to it because I bitch about this all the time, and then I run into someone who falls in that category, and then I feel guilty.
Okay, I hope we're talking about the same thing, because what I'm talking about is people that own Jeeps, and their dashboard is covered with rubber ducks.
Of course, you're very, very specific, and I'm very, very broad, and so I'm going to piss
we'll
off
get to
and
yours and soon.
But go ahead. The topic is, what does your car say about you?
Right, but particularly, I think we're going to cover two types of cars that do some, as my dad would say, gooby things. Like, you're a goober if you do this. And I never use the word goober.
I was going to say, that word I think went out. Let me ask
we're bringing
ChatGPT.
it back in.
All right.
So if you've seen this, there are grown men and women driving Jeeps, and their dashboard is littered with different types of rubber duckies. I mean, it could be a sailor duck, a Harry Potter duck, a magician duck. And supposedly this started by a woman named Alison Parliament in Ontario, Canada in 2020 during the pandemic. And what she would do is, it was called Duck Duck Jeep. And if she saw somebody who had a Jeep, and she was a Jeep owner herself, she would leave a duck on the car hood, on the mirror, in an obvious place. And the idea is that it was a social movement about joy, kindness, and community among Jeep owners. And the idea is they were creating a duck pond, and it kind of showed their sense of community. And I am just like, first of all, I see that and it looks messy. It looks childish. I'm also like, the idea of, like, on my list of things to do, to go buy 100 rubber duckies to then take to my car, leave in my car. And when I go to Target or I go to the grocery store, I've got to make sure to bring the ducks with me to then put on the Jeeps. Just sounds like a lot of work. And so I was with my sister and I'm like, am I such a bitch? I'm like, if it's bringing these people joy, cover your car with whatever.
This is so you just to have an opinion about something like this. I mean, it doesn't have to be ducks on a dashboard. It could be a duck in a window. It could be when you walk in and someone's got collectibles.
I don't know. I just think.
Do you remember I told you that guy I used to date and he had collectible plates up on his? Wasn't that you? I told him you were mortified. He had those collectible plates.
I like a collection, but Justin, this leads me. Yes, I do. I have quite a few myself, not of like rubber duckies, but what I thought was interesting, Justin, is like, this is such a phenomenon that there's like 1 million followers on like social media about this like Duck Duck Jeep. But Justin, this will lead to the kind of car that I know from my recent trip to Denver that drives you crazy.
First, we definitely misunderstood each other what we were talking about in this block, because I thought we were talking about what your car says about you. You have really focused that to what duckies on your Jeep dashboard say about you. So if we could just expand out so that I'm not the asshole once again in block C of episode 30. My understanding is we were talking about what your car says about you. And I asked ChatGPT, tell us what some cars say about you. And here's some funny ones. Tesla, I care about the environment and I need you to know that I care about the environment. Range Rover, I have money. I also have a second car for when this one is in the shop.
That's true. That's very
BMW,
true.
turn signals are a suggestion.
Correct.
Subaru, I hike, I own a dog, and I have strong opinions about oat milk. Which
Well, and Justin,
we could just
let me
stop there.
interrupt here. Justin hates a Subaru. So the
I
thing
have no
about it-
problem with the Subaru. It's the Subaru driver that can sometimes cause me
But
anxiety.
Justin, just like the rubber duckies, there is something called Moo Moo Subaru, and the goober Subaru owners are leaving plastic cows on each other's cars.
Okay, weird.
It's weird, right?
It's totally weird.
Are we terrible that we think that's weird?
No, but once again, I'm talking about something. I just want to clarify my thoughts on Subaru drivers. Generally, when I'm experiencing road rage because someone's not turning on right on red or driving slow, the first thing I do is experience my rage. The second thing I do is check my blood pressure. The third thing I do is I look at the car, and 9 times out of 10, it is a Subaru. And Joshua, my husband, who's the nicest human being around, he will agree on this completely, and that will be the only thing he would agree with me on in all 30 episodes.
Why do you think? I mean, what is your hypothesis of
My
why
hypothesis is that it's the person who drives a Subaru is I think it says it right here. I hike, I own a dog, I have strong opinions about oat milk. I think that's the type of person that drives a Subaru, and they're
So therefore, they're not a good driver. That's where I'm missing the
they're not
connection.
they're not. I am an overly aggressive driver, which would not shock you, and they are a very conservative driver. And again, that is not a slam. It's just we literally clash worlds in the
Yes.
car.
Yes.
That's
because they're trying not to kill the environment or dogs or old
they're just
ladies
yeah
in the
they're
street.
being they're good drivers, but they're just not they're not what's not aggressive. They're not they don't
Assertive?
turn right on assertive. They don't turn right on red.
Oh, see, that would drive me crazy.
Yes,
too.
and I'm like, go.
Yeah. I'll tell you another car I can't stand. I don't know if it's like a Mustang or a GTO, but when you push the gas, it's like roar, like it makes that sound. And they always try to cross like multiple lines of traffic, and I'm like, you're driving a Ford. Just get over it.
Me too. And the last thing I'll say about what your car says about you is, I got a new car when the tariffs came out. I was worried I was never going to be able to afford a nice car again. And in my job, to some degree, I do love that about my job, that I have to drive a nice car because, don't get me wrong. Anyway, the license, I hate the DMV. And so I was like, oh, you can get mail-in license plates now. So I went to mail it in. They're like, you can only do that with vanity plates.
Yeah,
And I'm
not
like,
a fan of
vanity plates are gross.
Yes.
But I'm not waiting in the DMV, so I will do a vanity plate. But then I'm like, what am I going to put on my vanity plate? So I put BECK, my dog's for Beckham, and her 523. So now my vanity plate says Beck 523, which still feels very douchey to me. So
Agreed.
yeah, but I'm like, what am I going to do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? Vanity plate is still a vanity plate. But anyway, gross.
Yeah. So what I think would be really interesting is to hear from our
Yes.
viewers. Are we killers of fun and killer of whimsy that we do
I'll
not
start with that. Yes, we are.
that we do not agree with Duck Duck Jeep and Moo Moo Subaru? And do you have particular connotations with certain types of cars and feel that certain personalities are attracted to cars and those show up in kind of driving? We would love to hear from you on that.
Yeah, we would. Our text line is 720-251-4450. Again, 720-251-4450. Let us know your thoughts on all things kidney donations and Jeeps, duckies on Jeeps and Subarus. Let us know.
There you go. You can also get in touch with us at wrongwayforwardpodcast@gmail.com, or you can find us on all of our social media platforms.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
All right, that's a wrap on this week's episode of Wrong Way Forward. Remember, the only thing worse than taking bad advice is giving it.
If you've liked what you've heard, like, subscribe, or follow us wherever you stream podcasts. And if you've got a topic or need some advice we'll probably regret giving, email us at wrongwayforwardpodcast@gmail.com.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Wrong Way Forward.